Good afternoon. My name is Sarah, and I am coming to you from the Sierra foothills of California. I am a knitter, avid knitter, and wife and mother of two. This is the Knitter Beal podcast, and this is episode number 6. So welcome. It's Saturday, May 29th. I actually had written these notes a week ago and still didn't podcast. So anyway, here we are today. I have so many finished objects because I have not recorded in so many weeks. But that means there's more to show, more exciting knitting garments and items. So let's get on with the show. You can find me on Instagram as the Knitter Beal, and you can find me on Ravelry as Knitter Beal. So without further ado, finished object number 1. So first I have these socks. So I think I had maybe just one of these finished on my last episode, and so here they are. So these are a pair of socks that are made out of trekking XXL yarn. So this is the yarn that I used, and I bought this on eBay, so I'm not sure if I can get it again. It's just a random ball that I bought online, and I tried to use every single last bit of it. And I used now this is just a vanilla sock recipe. Basically, I did 64 stitches. I knit with size 1 Chalgu circular needle that was 32 inches. And I used a new technique for my heel flap. And basically, I had learned to do some German short rows with that hat I had done that was my Oslo hat. And I thought, wow, wouldn't that be fun if I put them in my socks? Well, it turns out that it's not really to be used with the heel flap. You actually just use it for making the heel itself. And so when I combined the two techniques, having a heel flap and the German short row technique, it made kind of a bulbous heel out of it. But I decided that I didn't mind. They're just going to be some extra comfy socks for my son's tutor. So basically, I've already showed them to her, but I said, can I please podcast with them? And that was like several weeks ago. So I feel really bad that I have not gotten them to her sooner. But yesterday was the last day of school, so hey, I don't think I'm too late. It'll be like a year-end gift for her. So I loved how the colors went. At the very end, I really tried to match the toes. However, I found that there were 3 knots in the yarn at the very end, so I kept going back and forth trying to figure out how I could piece them together to make matching toes, but it just never worked out because I didn't have enough yarn to find the same toe as this one had on the second toe. So that's how it went. That's how the toes turned out. And these will be for the tutor. So that's finished object number 1. Now, finished object number 2, I do not have to show. I will try to post a picture of it up here, over here, something like that, if I can figure it out on my computer. But basically, it was the baby hat that I knit out of this yarn. You can see it didn't use up very much of the yarn, but this is just Patton's classic wool. And so it was another ear flap type beanie that I knit for my best friend's sister's new baby who's coming. So, but it went in a box to go to her because she lives over in the UK, and so she'll be getting that hopefully soon because my best friend had a box of things that were going over to her, so she needed to get that in the mail. But anyway, it was a very cute little hat, and hopefully, like I said, I post a picture of it with my post here, but you can always check it out on Instagram. I did post it when I was finished with it there, and yeah, she'll be getting that very shortly. All right, finish object number 3 is this t-shirt I am wearing. So this is called the Bellis Tee, and it is by Fiber Tales. So my daughter and I were watching Fiber Tales podcast maybe like a month ago, and she says, oh, that's such a cute little cropped top. So we looked up what kind of yarns could be used because hers called for a cotton linen blend, I believe. And it was going to be quite a bit of money to buy the yarn. But then I realized I had a really similar yarn in my stash, that could be used for this. And I realized we could buy it from our local Walmart. It's just the Lion brand Kobu, which is cotton and bamboo. And so you can see it actually turned out super cute. I ended up going down a needle size. I didn't realize it because she had called to pick up the stitches in a needle size that was one needle smaller than what I used. And I thought that was the needle for the entire pattern. So I went down a needle size, but it still fits my daughter great. And it obviously, I can wear it as well, which is kind of fun, so we can share. But it's basically knit in the round, and then you pick up the sleeves at the very end. And obviously you don't even knit very much sleeve. It's just kind of for decoration. And you actually pick up this button placket at the very, very, very end. You don't, it's actually knit in the round. You can see underneath, it's just reverse stockinette for this portion, and then you pick up all along here and knit across for the 2x2 rib, and then you sew on buttons at the end. So this isn't actually a cardigan, it's just a pullover sweater. So yeah, I think I picked up a few too many stitches right on this side, but if it ends up stretching out a little bit, I can always kind of sew it so it stays a little more scrunched in. I noticed when my daughter wore it, it kind of stuck out a little bit on this one side, but it's just because I picked up too many stitches around the neckline. But I think it turned out really cute, and she looks adorable in it, and it's very functional for the summertime, and I'm very pleased with it. So anyway, so that is finished object number 3, and this was, I made the size extra small, but like I said, I did knit it in a needle size one size smaller, and I did add about 1 inch of length to the shoulders because you knit from the bottom up, and we had tried it on her and it seemed a little bit short, so I knitted another inch on this side and another inch on the back, and then you used a really cool technique called Russian grafting to seam the edges, which is super simple. It's way easier than Kitchener stitch, so I was very pleased with that. So that's all about this nice little tee, and she really loves it. She's worn it, and it's white, so it will need to be taken care of in the sense of keeping it nice and crisp looking. But anyway, so next we have the shawl that I made for my best friend. So this is also kind of it started as a pattern from Fiber Tales, and I'll link the details below. So Fiber Tales Lark has a pattern on YouTube for how to knit this shawl out of one ball of a fingering weight yarn. And so basically I tried to do that with Ella Rae Cozy Alpaca, which is, I got it kind of my other local yarn shop down in Sacramento. So this is Cozy Alpaca by Ella Rae. And basically, so she has you start with this little tiny ribbing at the center, and then you add stitches as you go along. So it becomes a crescent shaped shawl. But of course, my weight of yarn was slightly thicker, so I think I should have gone up a needle size or 2 or 3 even, because by the end I actually started increasing needle-wise up to what I felt was comfortable for this pattern. So I started with her pattern, but I ended with a feather and fan style pattern. So let me put it on for you. So basically, this is how the little shawl looks. Oh, it's so cute. So basically, now the light isn't that great for this, but it's a beautiful like sage, or I mean, yeah, like a true green, like a pine tree green. So so basically, the edging, she wanted little scallops. So we ended up putting the scallops, or I ended up using this feather and fan pattern that I found on Ravelry. It was a free pattern, and it created these really cute little scallops. So they go all the way to the edge, and so I just kind of improvised the pattern and kept increasing my needle size to kind of make it flare out even a little bit more, because it wasn't quite flaring out as much as I'd like with the original needle size, and I don't even know what I used. But anyway, so it's a cute little, it's more of like something you would wear, I think, under a coat, because I don't think it will stay put terribly well if you just wore it as a shawl, because it's a little small. I thought I was going to run out of yarn. I was playing a little bit of yarn chicken on it, and I still did have a little bit left at the end, and I was trying to figure out if I could find some more of it, because I had bought it in like a sale bin down at Rumpelstiltskin. So, but I think that it turned out nice to be worn just as kind of just a cozy little, almost cowl with a jacket or a coat or something. So I think my bestie, she's already tried it on. She loves it. So that's good. I guess you could possibly wear it kind of over you, but it wouldn't give much warmth, I don't think, if you wore it kind of like this. It's just too small. But anyway, I think it'll be nice, kind of used as a little bit of a cowl for her. So that's the shawl for my bestie. So let's see, we have finished object number 5. Okay, so this is really what's driven me to get this YouTube out, because I need to get this to the baby it belongs to. This is a little cap and booties to go with it for a friend of mine and his wife. So basically they had a baby 6 weeks ago. 6 weeks ago! So I'm just hoping that this hat and booties still fit this little girl. So they basically, whoa, look at those. So this is also out of the Lion brand Kobu yarn. Very useful little yarn. So I've actually made lots of baby things over the years out of this yarn, because it's really, really soft. I mean, I just love it. And it's obviously very washable for babies and things like that. So just little stripes. This yarn comes in a few little colors. So one of them being pink, one of them being white. So I had a little white left over, and I had a little pink from another baby hat I made years ago. So I just stuffed these with a little tissue paper to kind of give them a little bit of. And so basically I just used a heel flap and gusset and cast on, like, I don't know, 24 stitches, I think, in the round on some size 1 needles, and did a little sock. So just some shorty socks, and they went really quick, and so hopefully I can give those to them this weekend, because they live right here in town. So anyway, that is for my friend and his wife's new baby. So that's exciting. And all right, so I have one more finished object. That's six finished objects. So basically I have another pair of socks, and these again are just vanilla shorty socks. So these are, let me put them on the sock lockers. These are a pair of socks for my friend Dina. So basically she's been giving us eggs lately, and I thought about what I could do kind of to repay her, because I know she doesn't want any money for them. I mean, I give her egg boxes to put eggs back in the boxes, and you know, that's very helpful to transport the eggs. But she, I thought I could just, she knows I like to knit, so I thought I would get her some of my knitting. So she, I thought she might like these socks. So here is one, here is 2. So these are another self-striping style yarn that I got on eBay with those other yarns that I had bought. So basically it is this yarn right here called Bamboo Socks by Filatura Lanarata. So it is, I cannot seem to find it anywhere. I have looked and looked and looked, because this fabric that this yarn produced, I would love to have an entire sweater out of this. I mean, it is so cozy. I could imagine with the gauge of a size 1 needle, which of course is kind of insane to knit an entire sweater out of, but I could just feel how this would be like. It reminds me of the 1980s. I don't know why. I think it's the coloring, like having one of those like pullover sweaters with like a collared tee underneath it, like you'd see in your school pictures back in the 80s. I was a kind of a young child of the 80s, but I can imagine my cousin like having a school picture with a fabric that was like this as a sweater. So anyway, again, heel flap gusset. I used 68 stitches to kind of give her a little bit roomier sock, and then a normal toe with the Kitchener stitch in the last 8 stitches, and yeah, these are my shorty socks. Now, this yarn was a 100-gram ball, and it's a 60% superwash wool, 25% bamboo, 15% nylon. So what I did when I was finished with this is I weighed it, and it is 50 grams. And guess how much these socks weigh? 50 grams. So my bestie said, I love the color of those socks. So I think I'm going to have to knit her some socks as well. And so when I weighed it, I was so excited and told her, there's enough. Yay. So anyway, I will be knitting another pair of these. So be prepared. I will be knitting some more. But speaking of socks, if you tune in to the Crazy Sock Lady like I do, you know that her summer sock camp starts on Tuesday, June 1st. And so you cannot cast on any socks until June 1st if you want to enter them into getting the prizes and things like that. So I am going to be in the Magic Loop cabin because that's how I knit my socks. I like to use Magic Loop, which is one of the cabins that are part of her little knit along of socks and things. So anyway, I can't start the socks for my best friend until Monday. However, those will not be the next socks I'm casting on, because as a part of my acquisitions this week, I made my way to Hobby Lobby for the first time. I've never been there before, and I went there with my mom, and naturally I had to look at their yarn. I had never looked at it, but I noticed they don't have a huge selection of brands of yarn. It's Lion Brand and Yarn Bee. So like Michael's, which is a comparable type store, has many, many, many different brands of yarn, but they really just had their Yarn Bee brand and Lion Brand. I was really surprised. So I guess you have to be into Yarn Bee. But anyway, I found one that I kind of liked because I basically have been eyeing a hand-dyed yarn by a certain Etsy user or buyer store. And it was gray with these rainbow shades in it to make some stripes. And so I found some that's similar, but definitely a lot cheaper than the hand-dyed stuff I had seen on Etsy. But anyway, it says that this is authentic hand-dyed yarn. So it's 100% wool. So I've never knit socks with 100% wool, so we'll see how durable they are. I'm just planning to make them for myself. So we will find out how durable 100% wool is. I know normally people like to have a little bit of nylon for that strength. So in case my friend, Little Dark Chocolate, sees this podcast and wants to wine this before Tuesday, I am all about it. Please contact me. Otherwise, I will be winding this up before Tuesday so that I can cast it on right away. So this is my plan for casting on. Naturally, I would like to make the socks for my bestie. And I also have the yarn that I showed, I think, in the last podcast from my local yarn shop. And this would be a pair of socks for my father. So that was my plan for those this fall. Off my knees. I'm hurting my knees there. So anyway, that's pretty much it for the yarny goodness. And I was just going to say more about the sock camp because I'm really looking forward to starting this. I've never participated in a knit along of a sock camp. Although I take that back. I did participate in a knit along with my friend Little Dark Chocolate last October. And so that was really fun, and I really enjoyed it. But I think it's just the idea of being able to chat with some folks around the world, really. And I know that the gal at 72 Stitches, she's already said she's going to be in the Magic Loop cabin as well. So it's kind of just fun and getting to know some fellow knitters. And so I think that's all for today. I just really wanted to update you with some of the things. Oh, I did have one more work in progress. I forgot. So I did work on this a little bit, not very much, but I found finally the other ball of yarn for the potato chip scarf. So I did some work on it. It basically, I think the progress you could see is the fact that this was where I started the second ball, and so this is how much I've done since I started the second ball. So it will be exactly twice this long when I get it finished. So this is the potato chip scarf, which is a free pattern on Ravelry and also all over the web. Basically, it's just a very basic pattern of 20 stitches across in some worsted weight yarn, and then you do a series of short rows on each side, 8 inches in, or 8 stitches in, and 6 stitches in, then 4 stitches in, then you knit across again. So anyway, that is a fun little mindless pattern, but almost a little too boring sometimes, so I tend to put it down. But I did work on it a little bit when I found this second ball of yarn, which is Encore by Plymouth Yarns, and it is a, let's see, 75% acrylic, 25% wool, just a very kind of generic but kind of cozy yarn that I got at a local yarn shop. So she wanted black, and that's what we knit. So anyway, feeling pretty good lately. Some of my meds have been reduced, so feeling a lot better and more energetic and things like that, less nausea for sure. So that is good news, and I think that's all about my health for today. Kind of boring, so not really excited to talk about it. But anyway, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe to the Knitter Beel podcast. I look forward to knitting with you again next time. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.